On October 23, 1990, Harlem was cloaked in drizzle and quiet, the kind of night where the city's heartbeat seemed to slow, and every shadow stretched a little longer. The rain fell in steady sheets, painting the sidewalks with reflections of neon and streetlights while most residents hurried home, eager to escape the chill and damp. The city's usual energy was dampened, replaced by a hush that settled over the blocks like a heavy blanket. Even the ever-present hum of traffic seemed to fade, leaving Harlem in an uneasy stillness. Inside Harold Banks's jewelry store, darkness and silence reigned, until just before 11 p.m., when the ordinary night took a sinister turn. The store, a fixture in the neighborhood for decades, was supposed to be a fortress against the city's dangers. Thieves slipped in, moving with chilling precision, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet and the sound of rain outside. They bypassed lesser goods, ignoring the obvious displays, and headed straight for 3 shipping crates deep in the store. Those crates held unset diamonds, platinum chains, and other treasures that most would never even know existed. Gold rings, platinum chains, and sparkling diamonds, nearly $950,000 in value, all carefully packed and ready for shipment, now at the mercy of skilled hands. The robbers knew exactly what to take and how to get it, suggesting inside knowledge. They worked quickly, communicating in whispers, never hesitating, as if they'd rehearsed every move. When police arrived, they found the rear entrance unlocked, rainwater pooling just inside the threshold, a silent testament to the thieves' escape. The night guard, Lawrence Given, was found bound and dazed, slumped on the floor. He claimed he'd been ambushed by supposed couriers, men he thought he could trust who turned out to be wolves in disguise. There was no forced entry, no fingerprints, no sign of a struggle. The lock was untouched, and the alarm system had been expertly bypassed. The security cameras, which should have captured everything, had been offline for a week, an eerie coincidence, or perhaps a carefully planned detail. The thieves were in and out in under 15 minutes, leaving behind a ransacked store, empty display cases, and a haunting mystery that would grip Harlem for weeks to come. The investigation began with little to go on, no evidence, no witnesses, just a massive loss and a city desperate for answers. Detectives scoured the scene, but every lead seemed to vanish into the night. The Harlem Heist was a puzzle with all the key pieces missing, a crime that seemed almost too perfect, as if orchestrated by ghosts. The city buzzed with rumors, theories swirling in barber shops and on street corners, but the truth was locked away with the thieves, hidden behind a wall of silence. For Harold Banks, it was more than a financial blow, it was a personal betrayal. His life's work, his trust, and his sense of security had all been shattered in a single night. The perfect crime had just been committed in the heart of Harlem, leaving behind not just empty cases, but a lingering sense of unease that would haunt the neighborhood long after the rain had stopped. Detectives quickly suspected an inside job. The way the thieves moved through the store, bypassing every alarm and obstacle, suggested they knew exactly what they were doing. It was as if someone had handed them a map and a playbook. The thieves' knowledge of the store's layout and the pre-packed crates was too precise to be a coincidence. They avoided every motion sensor, navigated the maze of display cases, and went straight for the most valuable items. Whoever planned this heist had intimate knowledge of the store's operations. All eyes turned to Lawrence Given, the night guard, who claimed he was tricked by late-night couriers. He insisted he was just following protocol, but his story immediately raised eyebrows among the investigators. He cooperated fully, passed a polygraph, and his story never wavered. Given answered every question, never hesitated, and seemed genuinely shaken by the ordeal. Still, some detectives wondered if he was simply a very good actor. Yet, the lack of forced entry and the conveniently disabled cameras raised suspicions. The locks were untouched, and the alarm system was never triggered. It was as if the thieves had a ghostly presence, slipping in and out without leaving a trace. The thieves left no forensic trace. No prints, no fibers, nothing. Forensic teams scoured every inch of the store, but it was as if the culprits had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only empty cases and baffled investigators. Investigators pressed Given for inconsistencies, but he remained steadfast. No matter how many times they questioned him, his answers never changed. He maintained his innocence, even as suspicion grew. With no evidence or financial trail, the case stalled. There were no suspicious bank deposits, no sudden purchases, and no connections to known criminal networks. The investigation hit a dead end. The disabled surveillance system seemed too convenient to be coincidence. Every camera that could have caught the thieves in action was expertly neutralized, leaving only static and unanswered questions. The police had a theory but no proof. They speculated about an inside accomplice, a carefully orchestrated plan, but without hard evidence, it was all just conjecture. The heist was a masterclass in planning, leaving law enforcement with only frustration. Every lead fizzled out, every clue led to a dead end, and the team was left grasping at straws. The perfect crime had left behind only questions. How did the thieves know so much? Who helped them? And would the answers ever come to light? The case was at a standstill, the answers just out of reach. For now, the mystery remained unsolved, a haunting reminder that sometimes, the perfect crime really does exist. Weeks turned into months, and the Harlem Heist investigation went cold. Detectives chased every lead, but the stolen goods vanished into the city's underworld. Lawrence Given remained a person of interest, but never a suspect. He continued working at the store for 18 months before quietly resigning. The case was declared a cold case, a source of regret for the detectives. The file grew thicker, but no closer to resolution. Years passed, and the heist became a ghost story among NYPD veterans. Harold Banks rebuilt his business, but the sense of betrayal lingered. The stolen fortune was never recovered. The case was frozen in time, waiting for a break that never seemed to come. Harlem moved on, but the shadow of that night remained. Among the stolen goods, one item was never officially claimed: Harold Banks's personal gold chain. Custom-made and engraved with his initials and the date of his store's anniversary, it was locked in his office safe. The thieves found it during their sweep, but in the chaos, Banks's statements about the chain were inconsistent. It was left off the official insurance claim, marked only as presumed loss. For Banks, the chain's loss was deeply personal, a symbol of his hard work and pride. Its disappearance felt like a violation beyond the financial crime. The chain became a ghost in the case file, a secret pain for Banks. As years passed, it symbolized all that was lost and unresolved. Unlike the other stolen goods, the chain was unique and identifiable. For 30 years it remained hidden, its story untold. In 2020, a vintage Cuban link necklace surfaced in an NYPD online auction. It was listed as unclaimed property, its origins unknown. A Bronx jeweler drawn by its craftsmanship won the bid. Inspecting the chain, he discovered the faint engraving HB, June 12, '84. Intrigued, he researched its history and found a 1991 photo of Harold Banks wearing the same necklace. Realizing its significance, the jeweler contacted the NYPD. His call connected the auction item to the Harlem Heist. The chain's evidence tag linked it to a 2002 narcotics arrest. The jeweler's discovery breathed new life into the cold case. The ghost of the gold chain had finally found a voice. The NYPD reopened the file, chasing a lead that had been hidden for decades. The story was about to change. The chain's evidence tag led detectives to a 2002 arrest. James Webster, a name new to the case. A background check revealed Webster was the cousin of Lawrence Given, the original night guard. For the first time, a tangible link connected Given to the stolen goods. The cold case was officially reopened. Detectives re-examined every detail, now focused on finding Webster. He was tracked down and brought in for questioning in late 2020. Faced with the evidence, Webster realized the game was up. The gold chain was the thread that tied the whole story together. The 30-year-old secret was about to unravel. Detectives prepared to hear the truth behind Harlem's perfect crime. The case was no longer just a legend. It was alive again. Justice seemed within reach. Confronted with the gold chain, James Webster confessed. He revealed the heist was masterminded by Lawrence Given, with Webster and Rodney Dyson as accomplices. Given's inside knowledge made the plan possible. He let the others in, staged his own assault, and directed them to the loot. The plan was to avoid violence, but Dyson smashed display cases, triggering a silent alarm. The thieves grabbed what they could and fled just before police arrived. The perfect crime was nearly undone by a moment of greed. The confession confirmed what detectives had long suspected. The inside man had played both sides, hiding in plain sight. The truth, buried for decades, was finally exposed. The Harlem Heist was no longer a mystery. The final pieces had fallen into place. After the heist, the three conspirators split the loot and vanished into separate lives. Each man carried with him not just his share of the spoils, but the weight of a secret that would shape the rest of his days. Their paths, once intertwined by crime, now diverged into three distinct destinies, each marked by choices made in the shadows of that fateful night. Lawrence Given returned to work at the jewelry store, maintaining a low profile. He blended into the routine of daily life, serving customers with a practiced smile, all the while hiding the truth of his involvement. To his colleagues, he was just another face behind the counter, but inside, he lived with the constant fear of discovery. He secretly gave the gold chain to his cousin Webster to settle a debt. The exchange was quick, almost casual, but it carried the weight of betrayal and desperation. Lawrence hoped that by passing on the chain, he could rid himself of the evidence, and the guilt. Webster melted down his share, selling gems through underground channels. He became a small-time player in the city's shadowy jewelry trade, always looking over his shoulder, never sure who might be watching. The money came fast, but so did the paranoia. In 2002, he was arrested on unrelated charges, wearing the gold chain, which was seized and forgotten in evidence. The chain, once a symbol of their success, became just another item in a crowded evidence locker, its significance lost to time and bureaucracy. Rodney Dyson, the Muscle, fled New York and continued a life of crime. He drifted from city to city, always one step ahead of the law, his reputation growing in the underworld, but the ghosts of Harlem followed him, a constant reminder of the night that changed everything. He was killed in a 2011 shootout, never facing justice for the heist. His story ended in violence, his secrets buried with him, leaving behind only questions and rumors among those who remembered his name. The chain sat in an evidence locker for years, its story unknown. It gathered dust, overlooked by officers who had no idea of its true value or the web of lies it represented. The men's vow of silence kept the secret safe for decades. They trusted each other with their freedom, bound by a pact forged in fear and greed, each man hoping the others would never break. Each man's fate was shaped by that night in Harlem. Their lives, once full of promise, were forever altered by a single decision, a moment that echoed through the years, touching everyone around them. The chain, passed from hand to hand, was the key to their undoing. It connected their stories, a silent witness to their choices, and ultimately, the thread that unraveled their carefully kept secret. The perfect crime unraveled not by confession but by a forgotten piece of gold. In the end, it was not guilt or betrayal that exposed them, but a simple oversight, a chain left behind, waiting to tell its story. Justice had taken a long, winding road, but in the end the truth emerged, pieced together from fragments of memory, lost evidence, and the silent testimony of a single gold chain. With Webster's confession, the Harlem Heist was finally solved. Detectives had the full story, but justice was out of reach. The statute of limitations had expired. No charges could be filed. The law now protected the guilty. The NYPD closed the case, entering Webster's confession into the record. Lawrence Given faced no legal consequences for his betrayal. For law enforcement and Harold Banks, it was a bittersweet resolution. The gold chain was authenticated and returned to Banks, now retired. Its return was a moment of vindication, a tangible link to the past. The store was gone, but the story of the chain that solved the impossible case endures. Justice wasn't served in court, but the truth finally came to light. The legend of the Harlem Heist lives on, a testament to patience, persistence, and fate.